Good morning, everyone. This is Russell Rucker, and I'm here for another constitutional talk. And today I thought we discuss the Continental Congress a little bit and a flight from the city of Philadelphia. This is my book, Philadelphia to Yorktown, newly published. Just got a few copies today. Philadelphia is where they first gathered for the Continental Congress. And they spent their first session talking about trade, talking about grievances with the king, and how to get around that. And by the time they regathered in the spring, and they set up George Washington as the commander-in-chief. But you get a couple of years down the road, you get the Declaration of Independence done, and following that, towards the end of 77, they have to leave Philadelphia. They have to do a flight from the city. Now, John Adams was rooming with one of the other congressmen there, and they were woken up about 2 a.m. And they had been voting for days on whether to leave the city or not. They even sent records ahead to Lancaster, which was a city 66 miles further west in Pennsylvania. And they had been gathering the records, and when they actually finally fled, they even put Liberty Bell from the Pennsylvania State House, hid it in hay with about 10 other bells, and they shipped that out too. And they fled the city en route out to go out west to Lancaster, thinking that that would be a safe place to meet. And it took them a couple of days to get there. The wagon that was carrying the bells broke down, and they had to hide the Liberty Bell in a local church. The Declaration of Independence was brought with them. And the reason they brought the Declaration of Independence with them was because it had been signed. It had the names of all the people that signed it. And there was a risk that if it was discovered and caught, that those people could be brought forward and executed for treason by the crown. So they get out to Lancaster. And really, there's a big difference here from where they were to where they were going. The city of Philadelphia. It's a modern city. It had brick streets. It had fine restaurants. It had lots of taverns, lodges, and places for all these congressmen where they could easily gather. But once they got into Lancaster, and they were only there a day, they had a day meeting. And when they first got there, John Adams went up behind the podium. The building they had in Lancaster was basically a big judge's chamber, and you had stairs going each side up to a podium, and there the judge's desk was. And behind that, there was a ladder that went up into the bell tower. John Adams went up into the bell tower, looked around, and he saw out west, further west. They saw the river out there. And the river was about a mile wide. So they came back down, they held their meeting, and they agreed to adjourn over to Yorktown, which was just on the other side of the river. Now, Yorktown was a drop-off point for wagons going further west. It was a muddy town. Mud streets. It was a filthy place. They didn't speak English. It was an area of German language settlement. And it was even difficult for them to converse with the town folk because many of them didn't know the German language as well as they knew the English. They spent a lot of time out in Yorktown. They were there for a couple of months. They were there while they wrote up our first Constitution. The Articles of Confederation were worked on and approved in Yorktown. It's now called York, but at the time it was Yorktown. So they argued, they debated out there, but they did not have the luxuries. And without the luxuries, many of the congressmen left for one reason or another, and they were waiting for other congressmen to replace them if their state sent somebody to replace them. And all the while this is going on, you've got the war going on. And the whole reason they're in Yorktown is because it's far enough removed. The British had taken over Philadelphia. One of the former congressmen had turned traitor, and he was put in charge of Philadelphia. We really had a couple of different people that wound up supporting England, and for that reason they were traitors to our cause. So we're out there in Yorktown. They're debating. They're trying to get government up. They're trying to deal with the war going on. General Washington is actively trying to fight the conflict. And at the end of a session of Congress, when it was approved, when the Articles of Confederation were approved, it becomes, and it's sent to the states, it's no longer the Second Continental Congress. It becomes the Congress of the Confederation. Because once they've confederated, it's no longer colonies. They've united together for one purpose. So they have thereby confederated. And they have spent a long time trying to do three things: declare their independence, get help from European nations, get treaties up, and the third item was to confederate. And this was the whole purpose, because in order to have self-government, they had to confederate. They had to agree to a loose confederative state, a confederacy of states. And that's how the whole situation began. It's an exciting period of time, fleeing the city and everything that was going on, trying to get powder and ammunition and cannons built, and just getting the raw ingredients needed to make black power to begin with. And all this is going on. They're also trying to set up a government. Now, at the end of the meeting, as I was getting into a minute ago, one of the congressmen said that he predicted that within 10 years we'll have to gather again, because this document will not be good enough for our own purposes of government. And that is exactly what happened. And in 1787, that's why they gathered for the Constitutional Convention, was to improve on the Articles of Confederation. Their goal really was to pass amendments to fix the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation, as a loose confederation of states, just didn't have the power we needed with a central government. And I know today lots of us think that the government is too strong and too powerful, and these people were trying to set up a strong central government. But what was they meant by strong and what we now have are really two completely different things, because it depends on the relativity of what we mean by a strong central government. They wanted a strong enough central government to force states to go along with what they were doing, but not so strong that it would undermine the rights of the states. And that is a key point. And with that, I'd like to catch you next time on the next Constitutional Talk. You folks have a good day now. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.